Attracta, Bradley, can I just ask you, what are your memories of Bloody Sunday?
My memories are all confused, but what I do remember is a bright sunny day. It was cold, lots of people about, thousands and thousands of people. And originally I thought I was in the ambulance, because I thought my memories were that I was supposed to be in an ambulance. I've just been told in the last year or two that wasn't true, that he says I was down in the bogside all that day, and that I came up with the first gunshot one that he knew that had happened was Michael Quinn. I brought him up by car with Pauline Lynch, and we landed at the first aid post in St Mary's School. So what I thought was that we were in the ambulance, and I thought that nothing was going on, but in actual fact I was down in the bogside. My vivid memories are being in two different houses and treating gunshot wounds. And it was only in later years too that I met Vinnie Corl's son, and he says, I remember you on Bloody Sunday. And I says, how do you remember me on Bloody Sunday when I don't remember me? And he says you were just in a state of shock because you were moved from one gunshot wound to the other. I do remember treating, which I says in my statement for the tribunal, that I treated a guy called Red Mickey Doherty, from which I only assumed he was Red Mickey because he had red hair, and he was shot right in the back, an upper leg, upper thigh. Not say exactly, but that's where it was. I then remember I had remembers of treating Michael Quinn on the street, but not 100% sure of it. But it appears I did now after talking to other members there in Malta. I remember there being total confusion. It was chaotic, terrible sadness, terrible shock to think so many people were just shot dead. We never came across something like that before. I remember that my big memories are of the sadness that day, of the silence. There was no anger about the town. Nobody was angry. They were shocked. People were shocked and couldn't believe that all these people were shot dead that day, and so many injured. It was just something very hard to take in when I was a young nurse at that time. It was my first experience of big trauma. In later years I had worse trauma in the hospital. Not worse, I couldn't say worse trauma, but lots of other trauma.
What was it like on that day? You know, you were experiencing this at first hand. Could you quite take it in?
I don't think I did take it in because, quite frankly, we didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about Bloody Sunday until I was interviewed by the solicitor, by Des Doherty, for the tribunal. And then that was so many years later, and in between times I had breast cancer and I had chemotherapy. Therefore my memory was not as good as what it was. I was really relying on other people telling me what I did on Bloody Sunday rather than my memories coming back of it. But I do remember the chaos, the confusion, everybody running around, and people just walking around in such a state of shock. They weren't talking to each other, they weren't angry, they were just sad and crying, and I cried and cried.
What sort of an effect did it have on Derry?
Derry, as I say, it was a stunned silence, no anger, just silence, crying. Everywhere you went there's people crying. But I had to go straight on to work, and I worked for the next few days. And then I remember the funerals and all the wakes. They were horrific. And I remember going with a couple of other colleagues from Northern Malta. We all we visited every funeral, and we cried at every funeral, at every wake. And then in the morning of the funeral, I was working in the hospital, and I went to the matron to ask to get off, and she couldn't understand why I wanted off, And I cried with her, and I says, but I was there that day, and I know lots of people. So unbelievably, she gave me the morning off. So I got away in uniform with another nurse, and the two of us went to the chapel, and that was awful. It was a wet, wet day. The rain came pouring down, and the chapel was packed, outside was packed, and it's just very sad.
And the legacy of Bloody Sunday?
The legacy of Bloody Sunday will never go away. The sadness is here forever. People talk about it quietly. And one thing I want to say is that I've been a member of the Order of Malta. There was a big group of us out in the streets that day. We've never spoken to each other about it. One might talk to another, but we've never as a group sat round and talked it. It was only this morning that I spoke to one girl about it, her memories, to identify myself in a picture, that I was with Michael Quinn on the street, and it was Pauline Lynch. But the other members, we never talked about it. We never got any counselling. We didn't get any help to deal with it. And I think my way of dealing with it was to forget about it, just to put it out of my mind. Therefore, I've never been to to the bloody Sunday museum. I've never been down in this area of the Bogside. Although I work a few streets away and have a medical practice, I never actually been down around that area. It shouldn't happen that day.
This is the first time you've been back?
This is the first time I've been back in this area here. Yeah. And that was through choice. You know, I would have went William Street, down behind these houses, but I never went over this direction here walking. I might have drove past in the car and Ulster Street, but I never would have walked down here.